On here after our break. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. I think James is still out there. Are you out there, James? You're quiet as a mouse.
I'm still here. Hey, you can't interrupt somebody who's an expert talking about good stuff.
Okay, we're going to go a break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes and a half. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. Check out our website, www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
As I gaze upon the arrows of time, one thing that comes through: we are not alone in this universe. It's a thought that rings true. Ancient cave dwellers drew spacecraft on the poles. It's a recurring theme. I've seen the same thing while walking late at night, and I know it's not a dream.
From Maelstrom to Manhattan, Boston to LA, there are people asking questions and they will not go away.
Roof of Broadcasting Building. I'm speaking from the roof of Broadcasting Building, New York City. The bells you hear are ringing to warn the people to evacuate the city as Martians approach. Estimated in the last 2 hours, 3 million people have moved out along the roads to the north. Hutchinson River Parkway is still kept open for motor traffic. Boyd bridges to Long Island hopelessly jammed. All communication with Jersey Shore closed 10 minutes ago.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Now, John, how many times did I tell you, cut that out? I'm not the best talk show in the world. I'm just a talk show host doing what I like doing. Anyway, we're going to get a hold of Timothy right now. We're going to talk about his book, Area 51, Keep Out. Let's get him on the line. And you there, James, yet?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Gary.
Oh, well, hi, Timothy. How you doing, my friend?
All right. I've just been listening to the show on my smartphone.
Oh, a lot of people do. What do you think of the show?
Well, it's good. It's good. No, I couldn't get it on my laptop. It just wouldn't. It just wouldn't go on. I don't know why, but so I guess smartphones are more popular than laptops these days, anyway.
Well, a lot of people with their laptops, they don't clear out, and get rid of the cache and stuff like that. So then sometimes.
Oh well, I'm sure. Listen, I'm still using a like a Windows 7 or something like that, and anything that updates, I automatically click it off because it just fouls up everything else in the system. I get more out of my Kindle than I got 7 Kindles, and they're great. When I do my show, I just do it on Skype on Kindle, and.
Well, you're lucky. You know what happened to me here last week? I run 7 computers to do the show. I use, for my main software, it feeds out the radio station. Because the software I use Windows 7. And one of my Skypes I use, like I'm talking to you right now, is on Windows 7. I shut the update off a year and a half ago. So that's when you could shut the updates off on Skype.
I know, but you can go into your computer and block any update, but it doesn't mean it's going to block it.
No, and what happened to me on my backup line, all of a sudden it updated. And then it kind of matched the phone number of the other 2 Skype lines, one of them. And
when somebody calls on the Skype, it rings all 3 of my active Kindles and my laptop, even though supposedly it's been removed.
Well, you know,
so you've had a whole week of Area 51. You must be tired of it.
No, well, 4 of the guests were really great on Area 51. One of them, we talked about other stuff, and I couldn't keep them on Area 51.
Oh, who was that?
I don't want to say.
Oh, well, I mean,
James, you can say it, James.
I don't know. I would say Hercules probably doesn't have that much knowledge about it, but he's a great conversationalist.
Oh, he's really great. No, James, who do you think didn't stay on Area 51?
Yeah.
Paul. Was his name Paul?
Yeah.
Paul.
Paul. I had him on last night, too. He had one little experience there. Well, his main thing is ghost hunting. I mean, you got to do a show with him on ghost hunting, really. That's his main bag. UFOs, well, he's had some UFO experiences. I mean, even up on Mount Shasta. Some guys you got to know, like in advance, what they're good on. I guess you know that too. I find that most of the guests that I've had on my show, I think I've had maybe 3 duds on in 400 episodes. You got to kind of know where they're coming from and what they're good with. Some of them, and others like Josh can just throw a yarn all night long.
Oh yeah, Josh, his voice too has a lot to do with it too. But he's very knowledgeable.
He's been doing this for years. I met him under very coincidental circumstances. It was in a swamp outside of Syracuse, not even in Syracuse, outside of Syracuse. There was a B-movie festival, and I was promoting, I guess, one of my horror films or something, and I went up there, and it was in a reception hall, like you'd have a wedding in or something like that. And it was very uncomfortable, and some of the films were not all that great, so I'd get out and wander over to the bar, and there'd be 1 or 2 people sitting there, and there was this fellow, and I got in a conversation. He had made a movie that he was there to promote, and it was Joshua, but I didn't know till months later when I ran across the fact that he was an expert on Brown Mountain, which he's probably the world's leading expert on the topic. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he answered every question I asked. I mean, which is unique. I've been doing that. Yeah, I've been doing talk radio off and on since 1976. And I'll tell you, Josh is on the top there. What is your gut feeling? What's going to happen next week at Area 51? What is your feeling?
Gary, we've been monitoring this, and people have been sending all kinds of information to update me. Now, the last email, and I sent this to you, and you probably haven't had a chance to go over your email, is the fact that 2 Dutch nationals have been arrested inside the perimeter of Area 51. They thought that they would go up with their cameras and their drone. They actually bought a drone. Can you imagine that? They bought a drone, and they got stopped, and they got arrested and hauled their asses. Now, I don't think they've been they haven't shot anybody except that one case that you mentioned where the guy came out of the car with a canister or something in his hand, and I don't even know if that's been verified or not. Did you say on the air that you knew who that was?
No, I didn't say that, but it was definitely verified that he was shot.
Oh, okay.
He had the canister on his shoulder, and they told him they told him to drop it.
Yeah, was he killed?
Yeah, they told him to drop it, and he refused to drop it, so they shot him dead.
Oh well, okay. Well, they would do that anywhere, probably. Although again, and we've talked about this, if there are any aliens on the base or any technologically advanced craft, either otherworldly or something that's been back engineered, they're certainly not up there at the where the guards are. They're way back. That place is massive. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of, if not thousands of acres there. And as you mentioned earlier this evening, there could be some stuff going on underground. You're just not going to walk into some shack and find an alien craft there or any bodies from Roswell. Now, my take on this is that there will be some events going on. You could start out in Las Vegas because the original storm, the Gates guy, who I have not spoken to, is going to. He has rented a bar, I believe, and he's going to have his festival, whatever that consists of, inside the confines of something in Las Vegas. Well, that's fine. That ought to attract some people. But I have also communicated twice with the proprietors out at the Little Alien Inn, and they are good to go. They've got acres fenced off for camping. They've got enough beer on hand. In fact, I sent you another email about how Bud Light has put out a limited edition of Area 51 commemorative beer with a green alien on the front of the label. I don't know whether they'll be serving that out at the Little Alien Inn, but they've got their stage, and I communicated with the rock band, one of the rock bands that's going to be playing there, and they're driving in from Los Angeles. So the Little Alien Inn is always a place to hang out. Now, you did mention, of course, driving out there and about the gas situation and the drinking water, and that is a must, of course. Now, I had an experience. I'm one of the lucky ones, sort of, because I could have turned into a marshmallow out on that extraterrestrial highway before it was called the extraterrestrial highway. I had a program in 1993 at the Little Alien Inn with the very controversial and the very late William Cooper. Now, Bill Cooper, if you know anything about him at all, was this ex-Navy guy who claimed that when he was stationed on a ship out to sea, he had an incident where a UFO appeared around the vessel they were on, and this thing came up out of the water and flew over the ship. And he also claims that he saw some secret documents and so forth. But he had a lot of things to say. He was this kind of this politically right-winger who talked about the Kennedy assassination and, I guess, 9/11 and things like that. And he got actually bumped off by the local sheriff because he was packing a gun, and I guess he threatened his neighbors, nothing to do with aliens and any of that. Anyway, back in 1988, he was on the Billy Goodman show, Billy Goodman being deceased now, which was broadcast nightly over KVEG radio. And I have a quote here from Bill Cooper that he sent me at the time. And he said, "On the air, I revealed the location of the base in the Nevada desert where the government tests unconventional aircraft that defies the laws of physics. The caller insisted that my story was a figment of an overworked imagination. I suggested that since the caller lived in Las Vegas, it would be very simple for him to go and see for himself." And apparently Cooper gave the days and the times where these things were being seen on a pretty much a regular basis. Anyway, the caller declined and hung up, but Billy Goodman decided to get a little field trip together, and they hired 2 buses and had over 100 radio listeners, followed by a bunch of private automobiles and 9 Lincoln County Sheriff's deputies, and they stopped at the black mailbox there on Route 375.
I know about that.
And the people cited many strange craft that demonstrated capabilities beyond anything that any of them had ever seen. Lights in the sky that made no sound, and things that zigzagged and moved from one point to another. Now, in my book here, the Area 51 Warning Keep Out, which you've posted the cover of on the on your website, thank you, and you've interviewed the guest about over this this last week. There were many things that were going on out there that just could not be explained. In fact, the gal who owns for the last 31 years the Little Alien Inn, her name is Patricia. She told me, she said, "We felt their presence around here," meaning the aliens. "One day after we had locked up the bar, a beam of light shot through the closed door and we could see that something had entered here. We told them out loud that